Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Doing great, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing great. First thing I want to say is how thrilled were you when Luke was named Ryder Cup captain?
Yeah, it was awesome to hear. It's we were all a little disappointed that he wasn't chosen originally, but
Exactly.
I think we all know he was well deserved of getting it the second time around.
Yep. And you're right. I mean, I totally agree with you that he should have been the person picked instead of the other person that was picked. And I love what he said. He said, "I will not do a Stinson."
Yeah, that was honestly I was a little surprised he said that. That was kind of un-Luke like. She's always so well mannered and professional, and I was a little bit of a dig, but it was well deserved.
Yep. Totally agree. What does that mean, Luke being named the Ryder Cup captain? What does that do for you and your team at Mizuno?
Well, it just gives us another way to be seen. What's cool about Luke being named is not only do we have him as 23 Ryder Cup captain, we also have Stacy Lewis as the 23 Solheim Cup captain. So it's pretty cool having two ambassadors being captains of their respective teams for the major team events going into 23.
It kind of gets that logo and name out there a little bit more.
Yeah, it should. I mean, Luke's he's going to be featured in a lot. He's going to get some more exemptions to play in some events due to the Ryder Cup. He'll be featuring a lot of photography that will have like Ryder Cup stuff. Won't necessarily have Mizuno there, but everyone knows Luke has been a long time ambassador for us. So when they see him, it's pretty much in association with our brand as well.
Yeah, it is, and they kind of go hand in hand. But tell us about what's new with Mizuno and your new irons.
Yeah, so back in February, we launched the Mizuno Pro line, which we had the 221, 223, and 225. And they've done outstanding. Typically, our JPX iron line has sort of taken over in terms of what sells better. Like our MP or now Mizuno Pro line has always been a little bit lower, but we've seen just a massive spike in the Mizuno Pro line. It just appeals to such a wider variety of players. Still gets to that better player with the blade, but then introducing the 223 and 225 has really brought a wider audience to that line. And then this fall we got some new JPX stuff coming. I'm not going to dive too much into that because I don't want to break embargoes or anything like that. But it's going to be something that more of the game improvement line that the players are really going to like. It's really clean looking. And then one thing we've done that's really cool, I don't know if you've seen, is we introduced the limited edition version of the 221 in a really cool blue finish.
Yeah, that and there's only about 1,200 of those.
We did 1,221 globally, but only 500 here in the U.S. And in terms of retailers buying them, they are sold out.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, now obviously people need to buy them from the retailers. I don't have those numbers, but we did put 10 available on our website to sell on Thursday, which was the pre-sale date, and they sold out in like an hour.
Oh my gosh! Well, that shows that maybe the blue should be there for a while.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool to do something limited. We did it 2 years ago with the MP20s. We did a limited edition copper finish set, and those had the same success. And Mizuno as a brand, we really haven't done a lot of really kind of cool limited edition things like that. So it's neat to see us get into that part of the game and see the reactions from people and how coveted they are to get those sets.
Well, besides the new irons that you came out with, tell us about the woods, the fairways, the hybrids. You had some new wedges, and obviously you've added some new putter lines.
Yeah, so also dating back to early spring, we launched the ST220 line, which had two drivers, the STZ and the STX. STZ it's definitely the one that's going to be geared for the masses. It's just a really, really good looking head, very central weighted, very easy to keep the head stable through impact. It's had really good success on tour. We've got, all of our guys in it on the PGA Tour and Korn Ferry, as well as a good group of guys over on the DP World Tour. And, it's just giving it that tour validation. admittedly struggled with that for years. And in the last, 4 years, we've made a really big stride introducing the ST line, which we did with the 190 4 years ago. And it's really taken off from there. And we're really excited to see the next direction. I mean, obviously internally, we've already got the future version ready. So we're excited to get those into our tour players' hands and get them testing it, and then get them out to the stores by next spring. And then fairway woods and hybrids, we introduced the STX line. They're a little bit higher launching, slightly draw biased. Having said that, they're still super, super hot. In fact, the hybrid is the hottest face hybrid that we've ever made.
Yeah.
It's, it's been kind of a surprise, if you will, when people try them out at fitting day events. So it's been a sneaky club. And then Mizuno Pro Fly High is one that's had a lot of success. That's sort of a better, we'll call it a better player's, driving iron type club. And it's taken off. It's made its way into some tour players' bags that have had some really good success this year. They're non-staffers, so I'm not going to mention them, but one of them might have won a major championship recently. So
enough said. You got that. Okay.
A great tool to have, and it's been really well received. And we're certainly going to build off that and for future versions of it, and get into more players' bags.
Yeah, and the putters. I mean, you've expanded that a little bit more, and they look great. And I'm sure you're getting some great feedback too.
Absolutely, yeah. The putters have been kind of sneaky good for us. When we launched the original ImCraft series 3 years ago, we hadn't had a standalone Mizuno putter. We've worked with some great partners in the past, like going back to Scotty Cameron, TP Mills, Bettinardi, but we hadn't had just a Mizuno putter. So it was, we tiptoed into it a little bit with the original ImCraft, and the sales just surprised us really, really, really big. And then we introduced the extensions of that in the 4, 5, and 6, and all the orders from like some of our major accounts like PGA Tour Superstore, well exceeded our expectations.
Yeah.
And then this past spring we introduced the Amoe series of the ImCraft, which is just a heavier head version of it. The finishes are still in our standard white, blue, and black, but they're a little bit different tint than what they were in the ImCraft. The blue is really, really sharp in the Amoe series. But they've done well. We got, sort of 2 traditional blade looks and then a true mallet, which we didn't have in the previous 6 ImCraft series. And they just continue to surprise us. Except the finishes are awesome. The 2 weight system where you can change it out. They come with 2 8-gram weights. And then we also supply a weight kit that has 3 grams and 13-gram weights in there for you to change out depending on what your needs are.
Well, doesn't it make you just feel good to be with Mizuno and seeing all these new clubs and you're being sold out of the blue line, the wedges are going good, the putters. I mean, it's got to thrill you to see all these new designs just going out the door and being sold out.
It does. For a long time, we were, definitely pigeonholed as an iron brand.
Right.
And going back to 4 or 5 years ago, we really decided to make a true effort into becoming a full golf brand. So that's why you've seen, just innovations in the iron line. Of course, they continue that, but the progress in the wood line, introducing putters, the golf ball. You'll see a new golf ball, a new RV Tour from us this fall. And so we're just continuing to evolve as a brand and doing things that we haven't traditionally done just to try to attract new people. We're using some really good influencers in the social media world to bring Mizuno to a whole new audience. And that's the whole package is sort of is coming together, and we're excited to see what direction we go.
How has business been, Jeff, over the last couple of years? These challenging couple of years for you guys.
Well, it has been challenging. At the same time, business has never been better.
Right.
Yeah. It's come with a lot of supply chain issues, which I know everyone's probably tired of hearing at this point, but it's still a challenge, and we've had to change up a lot of different shaft options in that time, just because of certain shafts are harder to get
Hmm.
lead times and demand. So we've had to sort of pivot on some things and maybe temporarily hold offering some shafts that have been really popular over the last few years, but
Right.
just simply can't get them. So we're not going to sell and fit people into these shafts when we don't have a time frame of when they can get them. We're having a difficult enough time just trying to keep up with our own manufacturing staff. I mean, they've been tremendous. They've been working, I mean, overtime every week for the last,
Yeah.
I mean, almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And just to try to keep up. And, it's amazing when you think before pre-pandemic, we turned custom orders around in 48 hours.
Wow.
And I mean,
How has that changed now?
I mean, it's amazing to think that was actually a thing.
Yeah.
We haven't been shorter than 3 weeks
Yeah.
in like well over a year. I mean, we're hoping to get to about 2 weeks come mid-October, but then we'll have the launch, and then it'll get pushed back again just with demand. I mean,
Right. Right.
it's crazy. I mean, the demand has just never been higher. We were recently as high as almost 8 weeks on turnaround, and right now we're down to about 4.
Well, that's good.
And that's really that's if the product's available. Obviously there's still some back order issues with certain grips, shafts, even a couple of heads. Luckily, our heads have actually been in good shape. We haven't experienced too many delays in the way of our club heads, but
Right.
all the manufacturers, all the major manufacturers all use the same vendors, so it's been a challenge for them to keep up with the supply and demand
I'll bet.
for everybody, for the industry.
Yeah, I'll bet. One more question before I let you go. Based on all the things that are coming out in the fall and how good you've been and business has been so good, is when will you guys start talking about will we go to the PGA show? And if so, what are we going to do in January there?
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. We've already had some talks with our PGA show rep and got some proposals and things. So it's on the table. One thing that's tough to validate is, most of the industry is still racking up record sales.
Right. Right.
So it does make it difficult to say, well, do we need a PGA show to, continue the business? But I mean, we all love the show. We love what it represents and the
Right.
networking and just getting everyone together for a few days down there in Orlando. But obviously, depending on it's in the winter. You never know. The COVID thing is still lingering around. You don't know how that's always just
Right.
a future roadblock. You don't know
Yeah.
how it's going to increase in the wintertime, and whether the attendance is going to be strong. I mean, we certainly would want to be there, but we don't want to be there if like the attendance is going to be super low, and you're not going to have that international traffic, which is what the show has really attracted
Right.
over the years. But last year they didn't have that, and then 2 years ago there wasn't even an in-person show.
Right.
So we're still in talks. I mean, we still believe in the show, and we have an awesome booth to get redesigned and put out there. But it's got to all make sense for us, and
Yeah.
so we're still sort of waiting and seeing on that end.
Got it. Gotcha. Well, I appreciate it, Jeff. Thanks for all the info. Appreciate you taking the time, and good job going with Mizuno. That's great.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Enjoy coming on.
All right. Talk to you soon. Jeff Crawford with Mizuno Golf. Luke Donald been named the Ryder Cup captain for Ryder Cup Europe. Great choice. Speaking of choices, we've got a good choice coming up next. Golf writer Rich O'Brien from Charleston will be next on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Hello, this is Chris Hack, the men's golf coach at the University of Georgia, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. Our next guest is also a rich person. He's a golf writer. He's in Charleston. He does a bunch of other things, and it's Rich O'Brien. Good morning, Rich, and welcome to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Good morning, Rich. Glad to be on the show.
Well, you have been writing and just making some great comments about this feud going on with the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour, and you're kind of in the middle. I mean, you're not really taking one side or the other, but, as of today, based on all the things that seem like it happens daily, where are you and what are your thoughts about all this stuff?
Well, LIV is very an interesting situation. As a journalist, objective journalist, I try and do a 360-degree perspective and then go up to 30,000 feet and take a look at situation. And when I do that, I get a unique perspective. And as an individual who's been in the golf industry for 40 odd years as well, I wanted to obviously see what's best for the growing the game and looking at different things. And it's kind of an interesting element. So what I see basically on this, I think everything boils down to world ranking points being awarded.
Yeah.
And how we are enabling the golf world to coexist. Whether LIV Tour may have the second strongest tour, PGA Tour maybe the strongest tour at that point. How do they live together to grow the game together?
Yeah.
And that is really some of the different things. And there's a lot of heated words going back and forth on that side. And I think it's hurting the game of golf to a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of stuff that's coming out is PGA Tour is kind of being very protective, and the LIV Tour is being very aggressive. And, the bottom line, how it turns out from a suit standpoint is going to be really based upon what the decision's going to be and what the world ranking points are going to be, which really has to be different for a 72-hole tournament compared to a 54-hole tournament.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, obviously, would have to be talked about. And I really do think that the commissioners and committees or whatever it is need to, have, conflict resolution and wind up, talking at that point, because, they have the power to really make it work, as opposed to dragging us through court for a number of years.
Yeah.
And possibly losing a lot of fans because the game of golf could get too politicized. We've seen what's happened with other sports when it gets politicized, and we don't want that for golf because fans will be turned off.
No, it's a gentleman's game, and I think having to go to court kind of takes the gentleman out of it and leaves it into the hands of the lawyers, how they present their cases, and the judge of how he decides based on the information that he's been given.
The judge will decide, and possibly the DOJ too at that point because there's an antitrust at that point. And the last thing that the PGA Tour would ever want is for them to lose their nonprofit status as well, because that would cost them millions of dollars. Right.
Oh, yeah, it surely would. So, a lot of people have said that the LIV Tour is growing the game. I know a lot of people object to the shotgun start, to a lot less drama than the PGA Tour has as far as finishes and who's ahead and who's not. What are your thoughts about LIV growing the game?
Well, we take a look at the PGA Tour, and then we take a look at trickling down to the club players, shall we say. And what's happened over the last 25 years or so is, unfortunately, the pace of play in this game has slowed down tremendously.
Yeah, it really has.
For whatever reason. And one of those reasons may well be drivable par fours and reachable par fives. And the pace of play issues that has. The LPGA Tour, they went to like 12-minute tee time differences there, and that sped up their pace of play by 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have those backups.
Yeah.
some of those things that go with it. We talk about a shotgun start. I have no problem whatsoever with a shotgun start on there, and you could easily get 48 to 60 players with one group per hole and two groups on a par five, and you wouldn't have many backups at that point if you're doing it. And the Liv's pace of play has been about 4 to 4.5 hours, and unfortunately, the PGA Tour's pace of play is much slower at that point. You asked about growing the game as well. I think being in other parts of the world and having big tournaments in Australia or Japan or South Africa or other parts where there aren't currently any tournaments being played of any note at that point, and that might grow the game worldwide as well.
Well, there are tournaments over in Asia, over in China. I mean, PGA players have gone over there, and the DP World Tour has had tournaments in other parts of the country. I think, I'm not sure I buy that argument, but, there's both sides to every argument or both sides to every situation. It's going to be interesting.
They're talking bigger tournaments
Yeah,
there than the,
you're right. But how do you think it'll eventually play out?
The Australian Open was a huge event that people would come to, and now it's been reduced a great deal.
Yeah. Rich, what do you think eventually will happen? I mean, I know it's a guess, but based on all the information that you've got from both sides, how do you think this is going to play out? Or does it really depend upon what the judge decides?
It really does depend on what the judge decides, or the leaders decide when they come face to face to avoid the judge. I really think the solution may come down to, put it simply, live and let live. Learn to coexist.
No pun intended. Live and let live.
Excuse?
Live and let live. No pun intended.
Well, maybe. But hey, tweak the world ranks a little bit to reflect the reality that Liv will be one of the strongest tours by all objective measures. You take a look at major championships, close finishes in majors, all-time winnings, worldwide wins, anything but the current world rankings where they're not getting points. And the Liv players, obviously this is one of the strongest tours.
Yeah.
What would happen to advertising dollars if we start, if 50% of the big names in the game aren't at these events? The most marketable players, the ratings and viewership might go down. We're looking at possibility that maybe Liv players will have half the major championships the past 12 years. That's a problem at that point for the PGA Tour and the other PGA Tours. Without these players that have won all these majors as well, are the majors as strong?
Yeah.
TV ratings are going to be the thing that really makes the biggest difference. So
yeah.
How do we make it work? Live and let live.
Yeah. Do you think the PGA Tour, Rich, has handled this situation properly? Tough question.
Personally, as a guy that's been around golf all my life along those lines, I don't like strong arm tactics.
Yeah.
And that's how it's playing to a lot of people. The PGA Tour is got every right to discipline their players by their handbook on that standpoint. But some of the other threats and different things that way and working on that side is issue. But, the issue then comes down, I think the other judge and DOJ is going to decide the stuff on the monopoly side.
Yeah.
And there's arguments on the monopoly side.
Yeah. Do you think that the PGA Tour has been overconfident about the situation? I know that they've obviously drawn a line in the sand, but do you think they've just been kind of a little bit too cocky?
I do think so on that. Definitely. They had their playbook from 1994, 28 years ago. And in that time period, the game of golf has evolved. The tours have now become more monopolistic, shall we say, with everything being a feeder tour for the PGA Tour.
Right.
That being the case, that's interesting. And you also take a look at 1994 when Norman wanted to do the world tour of the top 30 players. Well, shortly after that, the PGA Tour came up with the World Golf Championships
Yep.
with limited fields and higher prize money.
And no cuts, which is what.
And then later, the FedEx Cup was added and boiled down to a tour championship featuring the top players in the world for the season points. So competition kind of drives innovation at that point in my mind.
Yep, I got you. Well, Rich, we got to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Rich O'Brien right after this on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Hi, I'm Dottie Pepper with CBS Sports, and you are listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
I'm Rich Stiles. Thanks for being with us. We're on the phone with Rich O'Brien from Charleston, who is a golf writer, and Rich does a lot of other things. We're going to talk about those in just a minute. But one thing, Rich, do you think sooner rather than later, LIV will get a TV outlet?
From a TV contract, I do believe that there will be an audience for that. You know, they're adding David Faraday. They want to add Gary McCord as well. They wouldn't be doing that unless they think they have a TV deal imminent.
Right.
I would think at that point there, and the league aspect they're talking about next year. This year is just a beta. Next year is a league format. You know, a lot of people are going to be interested in that, I would have to think.
Yep, it could be. What do you think about Davis Love's recent comments? He's kind of taken the fire away from the tour and kind of put it on himself at this point.
Yeah, well, you know, Davis's nuclear option in the player boycott, you know, that there, I don't think that would work, to tell you the truth. You know, would PGA Tour players boycott a major championship? I doubt it.
Yeah.
What would the effect of that be on TV ratings and viewership and future advertising for sponsors that want to decide if they're going to invest in golf in the future?
Yeah.
You know, your audience, you know, if the players aren't there, your audience follows the players they like, and if some of their players are on LIV, they're not going to watch.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you there, but all right, let's change subject from LIV. Everybody's talking so much about LIV back and forth. Let's just talk about a good program that you're involved in, that you started, the Hero Golf Therapy Program there in Charleston. Tell us about that, Rich.
Yeah, well, you know, the Hero Golf Therapy Program, we started that this last year. And obviously, I've been so involved with PGA Health Charleston and golf therapy since my own injuries, 14 years ago. on that, and used golf as therapy to help myself. And then a veteran asked me to help him on that. And Fred Gutierrez and I, we did some great things, and PGA saw that. We built the PGA Hope Charleston program with Perry Green here, and largest chapter for veterans in the country, most active with 1,000 graduates very soon on that. And then last year, Josh Swindle, one of our paralyzed firefighters in the area, who was also a National Guards member on that. But Josh and I talked about a program for emergency responders that help with them with their suicide rates as well, because unfortunately, suicide rates among emergency responders, we're losing more to their own hand than in the line of duty at this point here. And we wanted to get a program together to help emergency responders. We included their families in there as well. And the other side that goes with it is because about 33% of all veterans, when they retire, get into being emergency responders. So there's a great connection that way, hence the name Heroes.
And how did you come up with the idea with what was going on with these folks that you're working with and putting golf in the picture, just to take their minds off other things and get them into golf with all the things that requires?
Well, the derivation of my form of golf therapy came from my own recovery. I found when I was playing golf and I was on the golf course focused on hitting that golf ball and getting in the hole, my pain levels were much lower. When I was with other people, we were having conversations, friendships started. Someone had my back, and that's where a lot of that, my degree is in sports psychology and exercise science. So I was understanding a little better than most people what was going on. And I'm able to verbalize it very well, obviously, as a writer. And we came up with the concept when we talked to different veterans and others we work with, of trading nightmares and flashbacks for golf dreams and new friendships.
Wow.
Well, that obviously works for veterans.
Yeah, that's an incredible program. I mean, you are to be well commended for that. I know you're helping a lot of folks do that, and you're doing it through your own situation, and golf helps you through it. So now you're helping other people get through it the same way.
Yeah, and that's the exact thing. And to know now that my own pain had a meaning because we were able to create something great to help, 1,000 veterans. As I said, now we're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of emergency responders as well. And so far, 40 of the veterans here in Charleston have told us that they're alive today because of our program. So that really is very fulfilling for me.
Oh,
and gives great meaning.
Oh, yeah. Website, can you give us any information how people can find out more about it if they're in that situation?
Well, for the Hero program, they should go to the standupandplayfoundation.org website. They can look that up on the front page. It has the Hero program there. We have our clinics for the emergency responders the second Saturday of every month. We start 8:30 to 9 as a breakfast and coffee camaraderie time, and then we go 9 to 11 as far as the clinics go. We'll be getting on the golf course as well as part of that.
Great
and
programs.
Excuse me?
Great programs. I mean, I commend you on that, and we've got about 15 seconds left, Rich.
Okay. Well, thank you. And for PGA Hope, the Veterans Program, they should go to their section website, and they have how to register for those there. So,
Rich O'Brien, thank you. Appreciate you being on the show. You're doing wonderful things. Bless you, bless you.
Thank you kindly, Rich. You have a great day.
All right, you too. Thanks for listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show right here on ESPNCoastal.com or on back9boys.com.